It's a chest of cursed gold, the pirate who stole him. Normally, he looks like a normal person, but when he stands in the moonlight, the pirates will reveal themselves. These pirates are immortal, but they are deprived of all senses. They are deprived of all material pleasures. To break the curse, we must return all the stolen gold coins to the treasure chest. A debt of blood must be paid. Pirates aboard the infamous Black Pearl and plundered the land, searching for spent gold coins. Now 880 have been recovered. Just one more to go. And this one gold coin is now being used as a necklace around the neck of Elizabeth, a wealthy young lady. It was the day of Colonel Harrington's coronation. His father wanted to marry him to the colonel, but Elizabeth was more attracted to the family's blacksmith, Wilkner, for the family blacksmith, Wilkner. At the coronation, Elizabeth was breathless in her corset. And not far from the harbor, a mysterious man was arriving, the famous pirate captain, Jack Sparrow, former captain of the Black Pearl, because of the betrayal of the crew, and now he's the captain of the Black Pearl. And Jack is here for one simple reason, to steal a warship and take back his Black Pearl from the traitor Barbassa. Elizabeth fell off a cliff. Elizabeth fell off a cliff. She fell into the sea. Jack rescued Elizabeth from the shore, ripped off the corset, and saw the gold coin hanging around his neck. Jack was about to ask more questions, but was surrounded by soldiers. The colonel recognized him as a pirate, and the resourceful captain was not going to be caught. He turned around and took Elizabeth hostage and escaped with his life. Jack hid in a blacksmith store. He met up with Will, a handsome young man, and they fought. Drunkard in the back attacked Jack and put him in the brig, but that same night, the Black Pearl came sailing slowly towards them and plundered the town. Two of the pirates smelled the gold. They caught Elizabeth hiding in a closet. Elizabeth was taken to the ship. She gave up her gold coins to save her life. She borrowed the name of her sweetheart, Will, and said her name was Elizabeth Turner. But Barbassa was looking for a Turner because there was an old Turner among the pirates. Only the blood of his family could lift the curse. Will is the real pirate. Will went to the prison to free Jack. He went to the prison and freed Jack because he was the only one who knew where the Black Pearl is headed. And Jack, when he found out who Will really was, and Jack found out who Will really was, they went to the harbor. They stole a warship. Then they went to the island to recruit a crew with the help of an old buddy, with the help of an old buddy, with the help of an old buddy. And Elizabeth was being entertained by Barbassa, was being served by Barbassa, and she was eating with great relish. Barbassa was envious because he was cursed. Any food that comes into his mouth was as tasteless as dust. Then Barbassa told Elizabeth that he was to be sacrificed. Elizabeth had a bad feeling. It was a ghost ship. And then the pirates took Elizabeth to a cave full of gold and silver. They were going to return the last of the gold. Elizabeth's blood was used to lift the curse. Captain Barbassa cut Elizabeth's palm and put the blood-stained gold coin back where it belonged. But after a while, nothing seemed to change. The captain fired a shot at the crew. He found him alive. This meant that the curse had not been lifted. An angry Captain Barbassa questioned Elizabeth whether or not he was a descendant of William Turner, the Carrying King. Elizabeth refused to betray Will. She was slapped to the ground by Barbassa. The scene was witnessed by Will, who had ambushed him behind a rock. He finally realizes who he is, and realizes that Jack is using him. Will smuggled the fainted Elizabeth and the gold coins out of the cave and ran off with the crew of the ship. In the cabin, Elizabeth told Will that the gold belonged to him. 8 years ago, Will was rescued from the sea by soldiers. Elizabeth was afraid she'd be taken for a pirate and took the gold from Will. On the other side, when Barbassa reacted, they were gone. Poor Captain Jack once again fell into the hands of these traitors. In order to retrieve the gold coins, Barbassa took the Black Pearl towards the interceptor. In the midst of the battle, Jack was accidentally trapped in the cabin of the ship. Captain Barbassa led the pirates to capture the crew. Will told them who he was, and used his life as a bargaining chip, to get Barbassa to let Elizabeth go. The cunning Barbassa pretended to give him his word, and in the next breath, he banished Elizabeth and Jack. Elizabeth and Jack were banished to a deserted island. And that night, the two of them, desperate for help, and got very drunk. But Elizabeth set the island on fire the next morning. A huge cloud of smoke. The smoke attracted the Royal Navy. After being rescued, Elizabeth, she agreed to the Colonel's proposal. She asked the Colonel to send troops to save Will. So she returned to Death Island with Jack in tow. The men rowed a small boat to attack Barbassa in a cave. Jack suggested he could go in first. Jack suggested that he could go in first, wait for the pirates to regain their flesh, and then lure them out. The Colonel agreed to his plan. Unbeknownst to him, he was falling into Jack's trap. Jack entered the cave alone in a small boat. By now, the pirates were preparing to dismantle Will, to break the spell. But then Jack stepped in to stop them. That the place was surrounded by the Royal Navy. Once the curse is lifted, you'll become ordinary people. If you go out, you'll die. Why don't we let it go for now? We can use our immortality to kill the Royal Navy. We'll kill the Royal Navy out there, seize their ships, and form a huge pirate fleet, and then lift the curse. Jack's words convinced Barbassa, so he gave the order to attack. A group of figures slowly emerged from the darkness of the sea. Their target was the Navy ship. A soldier sounded the alarm just in time. The Colonel realized he was being attacked, so he rushed back with his troops to rescue them. Elizabeth took advantage of the confusion to re-enter Death Island. She saw Jack and Barbassa in the middle of a fierce battle. They were in the midst of a battle that lasted several rounds. Jack was losing. Under the moonlight, Captain Jack's body had turned into a skeleton. It turned out that during the fight with Barbassa, he secretly took a gold coin, so he was cursed. He is immortal. With the cooperation of Will and Elizabeth, the curse was lifted. Barbassa lost his immortality, and his army of the living dead was affected. The pirates who had been terrorizing the region were wiped out. As a former pirate leader, Jack was not pardoned. He was sent to the gallows right after he got out. Will and Elizabeth gave Jack a chance to escape, and Captain Jack, having regained the Black Pearl, has embarked on a new adventure.